Hello and welcome. I'm excited to have our guest today, Cole Hatter, who we've been chatting and talking about working together for a while now, and really excited that we're actually having a chance to meet in person and chat and ask you some questions. We actually have a lot of funny things in common, from family life to our love of water sports. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, but definitely keep it focused on business. Well, you know, it's all part of the same thing, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
If one doesn't work, then the others aren't working either. So we can get into some of that stuff. And really excited too about Thrive. Thrive is Cole's big event that is coming up at the end of October here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But an amazing opportunity if you're looking to learn more about business, and we'll dive into a bit more of the specifics of that, but excited to hear about that. And I'm coming down to the event, so looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. Welcome, Cole, and let's chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Greg. This will be great.
So actually, why don't we dive in, since I'm coming down to join you for Thrive. Let's talk a little bit about that and what people can expect out of that. And I know you did it last year, so I was looking at the speaker lineup and everything you have planned for it, and it looks pretty amazing. What kind of people are you looking to or would typically see out at Thrive, and what are you looking to bring for them?
Yeah, so Thrive is kind of the culmination of an evolution of 11 years as myself being an entrepreneur, and it's a 3-day conference for business owners and career professionals. So it is a business event. It's not just like a motivational or mindset event, although a lot of what creates success, and we'll talk about that, is like the mindset behind the business, right? Yeah. So I'll say it's probably 70% tactical, like 2 + 2 = 4, like do this, and probably about 30% of, okay, now here's how to think about that, and here's how to function at a high level to achieve that. But so it's 3 days, like you said, of amazing speakers that are going to be there. And we have 22 keynotes that are going to be going. I personally built Thrive off of events that I like attending. And so I don't like, as fun as it is when they have breakout, main stage and then breakout rooms, as fun as it is to have an option to choose, I hate that there's usually 3 or 4 I want to see and I only get to see one.
Yeah.
And so what I did at Thrive is I made it TED Talk style, where it's just one after the other, boom, boom, boom. So very rarely do you get to hear from 22 people and get to hear from all of them at one event. So that's kind of cool. And what really differentiates Thrive in the in-person event space for businesses is that we're all about creating business as not the end destination. Hey, let's get successful to just go and buy a bunch of stuff, but let's use our businesses to be the catalyst or the vehicle to not just live on our purpose, but to do something of some social impact, right? And my buddy Yannick Silver, he calls it empowered enterprise. Adam Braun and I, we call it a for-purpose business, where kind of like Tom's Shoes, the business is definitely for profit. You go out there and you kill it financially, but it's somehow tied to something that does more than just make money. Unlike Nike, who sells shoes to make money. Nothing wrong with Nike. I have a few pairs. Yeah. Tom's sells shoes, but for every pair of shoes they sell, they give a pair away. And Blake Mikowski, the founder of Tom's, is worth over $300 million. So he's certainly not a martyr who's just started a nonprofit and works hard to just give back. He's making hundreds of millions while giving back. And so we teach people to do that at Thrive as well. And that's my personal belief. I've had 2 seasons of business that I'm sure we'll get into here, where I did very well, lost everything, got started again, and have done 10 times better. And in my second leg of entrepreneurism, I've seen how I can make my money matter. I'm in my home here, beautiful home in Southern California. I have every car I've ever dreamed of owning or driving is in my house or in my storage unit, right? And so I still enjoy my wealth, but at the same time, I see how I can make my money matter. And for us who are what we call the Thrive Tribe, that's where we find not just significance and purpose, but happiness. They say money can't buy happiness, and I disagree. Money can't buy happiness if you're just spending on yourself. But have you ever fed a starving child? Well, it takes money to do that. And, taking $20 to feed a family is cool. Taking $20,000 to feed an orphanage is cool. Taking $200,000 to feed a city is cool. And it just goes on from there. So that in a nutshell is what Thrive is. Amazing people like yourself are the attendees, people who maybe are doing okay or well in business, but say, is this it? Am I just, okay, cool, I've got a brand new Porsche. Do I just work hard and then be able to get the brand new Ferrari to then just work hard to get, like, what's the point? Like, or even for people who are just starting in business who haven't necessarily done well yet, that are like, okay, what am I chasing? Is it just keeping up with the Joneses and I should just get better watches and more square footage in my house? But for those of us that feel called to do something greater, What Thrive is, hey, let's not make finances a concern anymore. Let's teach you how to freaking kill it financially. So now you're in the position of giving back in any way you want. So that was a rant, but that is the creation and why Thrive exists.
That's excellent. Yeah. And so for people who want to check that out, that's at attendthrive.com, right?
Yep. Attendthrive.com.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll be there.
Yeah. And that's all we got to say. Greg will be there. So come.
Okay. Awesome. So I'm curious, and I've read a bunch of your story in the background, and you had some accidents early on and questioned what you were doing. I think you were going the firefighter route and then decided because of some of the accidents to go the entrepreneur route. When you first got into the entrepreneurial side, were you already on this bent of it's got to be something that matters more than just entrepreneurial? Or is there a way that you kind of came into feeling that way and really having that focus on some kind of purpose beyond just profit?
About 8th grade, I started wondering, when I grow up, what am I going to do? And I did feel called, always, call it my upbringing, call it my faith, whatever, to want to help people, right? And so, grew up in the church and being able to go with my parents on mission trips and stuff. I said, all right, cool. It would be cool to do this professionally. So in 8th grade, I was like, cool. Do I want to go to medical school and be a doctor? Do I want to go join our military and go serve? And what I decided is firefighting was the best fit. If I can save lives, play with fire, and someone's going to pay me for it, that's fantastic. So I did become a firefighter. I took college classes while in high school at night and on the weekends, so that when I graduated high school, I had all my prerequisites done. I went right into my fire academy at 19 years old, started working with my fire department, and I've had my whole life figured out. I knew exactly what I'd be doing the rest of my life. 2 years later, got in a car accident that put me in a wheelchair. And although I walk fine today and I've completely recovered, it took about a year to learn how to walk again. I had a traumatic brain injury. I had to learn how to learn again and all of that. And so in that season of wondering what my physical future would be, it looked like firefighting was not an option. And that's what kind of turned me towards entrepreneurship. And then again, that first season got obsessed with money. It was dumb. And the second season kind of reconnected to my core values of, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur now, even though I'm healthy enough to be a firefighter. Life has put me in this direction. Now, how can I use this business to make that impact in the world I wanted?
Excellent. Yeah. And I like that you use that phrase core values. It's kind of an exercise we've gone through here at Thinkific, even establishing our core values. And I think, whether you're a team of 1 or a team of 100, if you really have those core values straight, it makes a huge difference in terms of everything you do and the decisions you make in your business.
Everyone needs them. So I call them core values now. I also call my absolute truths. I have 11 of them. There are 11 absolute truths I, as a human being entrepreneur, live by. And then, I have core values within my company as well. And so I would definitely suggest that anyone watching this definitely spend some time to draft some core values for their company, or even absolute truths for themselves of things that they, I've got this box, and if it doesn't 100% align with those 11 absolute truths, then I won't take it no matter how profitable it is. One example is I have to be able to make money from anywhere. I live in Southern California, but if I want to move and hang out with you in Canada, all my businesses would still have to function the same. So that's one example of what an absolute truth is. If you asked me to come and move there to work in your office and you're going to pay me $5 million a year salary to work at Thinkific, I'd unfortunately have to turn you down because that would require me to be in your office, right?
Right.
But if you wanted to pay me as an outside consultant through web calls like this, I could do from Hawaii, or I could do from Florida, I could do from the Netherlands. Cool, I'm in. So so that's one example to give people context of what an absolute truth looks like for me, and then core values to each their own within their business. Yeah,
and that's great because, it's funny how some people think that those kind of exercises aren't necessary because you're like, oh, they're a truth to me. It's important to me. I'm not going to forget that. But in the heat of business, sometimes you do. And even, especially if you start adding people to your team or to your Thrive, is it Thrive Tribe?
Yep.
Then,
Tribe.
You start adding people to your tribe, and sometimes, especially when profit is involved or there's an opportunity for a new client. And so we've actually, with our core values, I've actually had to let clients go because there isn't a fit with our core values, and there's a big conflict there with the core values. And they were a profitable client. It wasn't about them not paying the bills, but at the end of the day, everybody on my team here was excited and happy that happy that we did it in the long run. Even though it might have not been the best decision for profit, it was the right decision for the business, and it makes people feel better working here.
Here's a virtual high five through the computer for that, because that is awesome. So many people would sell out for the cash flow, but what you did is you protected your company's culture. That says a lot about your maturity as a CEO, because to let go of money is not easy for everyone to do. But if it doesn't, like you said, align with your company's core beliefs, that's so much more important there's so many books about that. The one that comes to mind is Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek. He talks about how 20% of his clients generated 80% of his business, and 80% of his clients took like 90% of his time, and he fired those 80% of his business, which was like a 20% pay cut, but like quintupled his free time. And so point is, that's a great example that you just set for the rest of us of if you've got a nightmare client, let them go. It's not worth the money to taint your company culture or even no longer enjoy your business, right? There's been a season for me where I hated my own company. I freaking hated it. And I quit for 10 months. I moved to Mexico, took like a sabbatical, came back and fixed it. And so part of it is working with the wrong people.
Yeah, definitely. So actually, and that's interesting. So you've done a lot of offline business actually. And only a small amount of it has been online with things like Thrive. What's that breakdown for you in terms of offline, online, starting to do some things online? Why have you been so focused on offline and now doing a few things online?
My car accident was 2004, became an entrepreneur 2005. Well, I guess we're always entrepreneurs. I mean, when I was young, I never sold lemonade, but I did climb trees, pull mistletoe, put a red bow around it and go door to door and sell mistletoe Christmas trees.
You were the romantic.
Well, no, it was Christmas. And I wanted to be able to buy my own family Christmas presents instead of dad and mom giving me money to go buy them their own gifts, right? So true story, I saw it selling in a mall in a plastic bag. And I was like, this stuff grows for free down the street from my house. So I literally climbed trees, knocked down bushels of this stuff, and then tied red bows around little bundles. And I went door to door, sold one for $3, two for $5, and made enough money to buy. And that was like when I first realized, oh my gosh, I can make money, right?
Yeah.
But the first time I actually had a company that paid taxes and was like, had articles of incorporation stuff, was 2005. And so from 2005 to 2014, I made every dollar offline. Didn't have any of course I had online presence, like for my real estate business, but my real estate business is not an online business. I have a website that would generate leads to then buy and sell real estate. And so only for Thrive was actually the first dollars I've ever made online. And I have one other company. It's called emojistickers.com. If you know those little emoji cons on your phone. Yep. I own emojistickers.com, and I'm a partner in that. And so that is actually something I guess that we sell online, but 99.9% of the revenue is generated by we're in every single Urban Outfitters in the United States and Canada. If you go search around long enough, you'll find our little sticker packs there. We're getting at Target now. So that's more of still an offline brick and mortar, but we do sell stickers for people who go to emojistickers.com. But everything else is my real estate business, my merchant processing business, and things that are done. If the internet went away tomorrow, I would still make money on them. And so, I've avoided it. Well, first of all, I've done well where I've been doing money, so I haven't needed it. Yeah. But then also I've kind of avoided it for two reasons. Number one, I didn't really understand it. We're not all experts at everything. And then number two, at first, the only informational products I saw being created and distributed online were from people who I knew personally were not doing very well. And I was like, oh, look at this. Like anyone can turn their iPhone on themselves and act like a genius and then charge people for it. So I got a little turned off to ever wanting to do that. And I just unfortunately created like a negative association with people selling informational products online, right? Yeah. Then that was probably 2011. Then I got educated. I met a mutual friend of ours, Lewis Howes, and actually bought his program, benefited from it tremendously. Now Lewis and I are tight. He's speaking at Thrive this year as well. I know that has all of his products on the Thinkific platform, and speaks very highly of you guys. And so I started meeting people like that who actually really do have businesses and just teach people about it. And it changed my perspective. And so what's interesting is the second Thrive ends, because that's my focus. We are 5 weeks away right now. So that's my focus. The second that ends, I'm actually going to be doing my very first online product about real estate investing. Since I've been investing in real estate for 11 years, it's going to be really easy to teach people the fundamentals of what to do. So that was a long answer to say, I've always made my money offline, and I don't think I gave online a chance because of just the first 3 or 4 I saw were clowns. But then meeting people who create tremendous value and then distribute that value online, I think is a great business. And so I'm excited to jump in and start generating revenues there, probably early first quarter 2017.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, it's definitely an addictive space to be in. It's good for that. I've kind of gone, I guess I did do a few of the sort of offline things, but mostly in the online focused business. So, but now I'm getting into a bit more of the real estate investing. So I'm taking some of my course revenues. So I might actually have to ask you about this afterwards personally on the real estate investing side.
That's a perfect strategy. My buddy, who's another speaker at Thrive, John Spencer Ellis, he online has a training program for people to actually become certified trainers to work in like 24-hour fitness. So it's a state recognized. It's not just how to be a gym trainer. It's like an actual certification program, if that makes sense. And he's made millions and millions and millions since the 90s when he launched it. And dude, the guy owns a ton of commercial real estate. He's like, bro, I build a product, I sell it, make it $1-2 million and roll that into a commercial project. And so he's done very well at making money online and then investing it offline into tangibles like, real estate. And so that's a great strategy.
Yeah. And especially, the online space is the one concern with it always is the crazy amount of competition and how relatively easy it is for people to get into competition. You get into things like real estate and other areas offline, anything brick and mortar, like your emoji stickers and being in Urban Outfitters. That's probably something where you have an exclusive relationship, or even if you didn't, it would be very difficult for anyone else to go and get the physical goods and the inventory and the delivery and even the relationships and contractors with the distributor like Urban Outfitters. So you do have a little more, it's often harder to set up, and I think people see it as more intimidating, but once you get it going, it can be a little more secure that way. I'm still addicted to the whole zero cost of inventory and deliverables on the online side, but the appeal there is great.
And housing inventory, I have to have a warehouse for all the stickers. They're made in China, they ship over. And so, there's infinite benefits of online. My core value, being able to do it from anywhere, you can do that. Barrier to entry is easy. You were just talking about that. Anyone can do it. And so I was literally having this conversation about my product in my car. I'm pretty busy right now, so I had to have a meeting in my car driving down to San Diego and then let the person take the train back home just 3 hours ago. And they were out talking to me about my real estate product, and they're like, dude, do you know how many people sell real estate product online? How do you differentiate yourself? And so for anyone who just heard what you said and said, crap, it is competitive, anyone can point their iPhone at themselves, put it on Thinkific and try to market that to sell it. I think you just need to master your craft. The reason that I have no doubt that my real estate product will do fine or fantastic is I really have made millions of dollars in real estate, and many people out there might not or probably haven't. And so that degree of credibility is important as the backstory, but then also they're going to see that when I do my training. And so, that you really, even though Thinkific is a platform that distributes digital products, and so as an online business, you're sitting in your office right now, you have real employees, you have a real tangible business. And so for you to create a product makes sense too, because you have that backstory and that knowledge. And so for anyone who's like, oh man, how am I going to succeed if there's low cost to entry, if you will, or low barrier to entry of getting started in this industry? I'd say if you've never done anything, then don't try to create a digital product, because we'll sniff out that you don't know what you're talking about real easy and no one will buy it. Go do something worth sharing. Go make money, go have success, and then talk about it, and then train us, and then you'll take my money. And for anyone who's listening to this who has done well as a consultant or done well even within a corporation that wasn't yours, you've been a senior vice president or something, and have great industry knowledge about an area that you are an expert in now, you will do well because you have the credibility of the knowledge. So that's all I would say about that.
Yeah, definitely. And then even on the side of, beyond, it doesn't always have to be some financial success or something. I've seen people do amazingly well with things like they just happen to be very skilled at sewing or hula hooping, and then can go and share that art or fitness thing with other people. But again, back to the thing is they have that skill that they've developed. So they're not coming in saying, I'm going to learn how to sew and maybe you'll learn along with me, or we might make some mistakes along the way.
Totally. Yeah. I can tell you right now, my sewing product would not do well because I have no idea how to sew. I'd be like, this is a thimble. And so anyway, yeah.
Yeah. No, me neither. I think I did take a sewing class in high school, but I'm pretty sure I got kicked out of it by the end of it.
Nice.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So you're going into this real estate online what was it that kind of pulled you over the fence and said, all right, we're going to go, because, Thrive is in person, but you're obviously selling tickets online for it. And now you're starting to get into this thing. Is this your friends who are involved in it that's pulling you that direction of saying, all right, I'm seeing what you guys are doing. This is great. I got to get involved. What's the push to get you over the fence and into online?
On the other side of this door, sitting my wife and my assistant, who have been harassing me since December of last year to do a product. And I've told them consistently, not interested, not interested, not interested. So I would say those two, persistence wearing down resistance, is probably the greatest reason why I was like, dude, I'll do it just to get you two to shut up. They can probably hear me say that. Maybe the door will open. But beyond that, yeah, it's opening my mind. I was closed-minded to it. And then it's just getting really close to people like Ty Lopez, who's a speaker, and Lewis Howes, who's a speaker, and just some friends of mine, not like because it sounds fun to drop names, but literally we spend time together at each other's homes frequently, and just seeing the success of their business, number one. Who doesn't want to be successful, and the way that they're able to monetize. So obviously the dollars attract me, but the bigger thing is Thrive last year, I had countless attendees who said it was the most meaningful, impactful event they've ever been to in their lives. And they're like, I've gone to Tony Robbins, I've done this. And I don't take that, as personal. It's the quality of the speakers we brought together, right? I can't own that. Yeah. But being directly involved with educating people for a weekend, and then still to this day, 10 and a half months later, getting Facebook messages and emails from people saying, Cole, I went to Thrive Broke. I got an idea of a business in your audience, and now I'm making 50 grand a month. I can't say her name. It's an African name. But she's a wonderful woman from Africa who started an online digital marketing company because she worked as an employee of a different one. And something about going to Thrive inspired her to say, I know how to do this. Instead of making my boss rich, I'll do it for myself. And she's now generating, I don't know what her net profit is, what her personal take home is, but she said through a Facebook message, her agency generates 50 grand a month now. And she says it's all Thrive. I went there as an employee, I quit my job, and now look what my business is doing. And she's the first message I thought of off the top of my head. And seeing that, my wife and my sister are like, dude, you had 450 people at Thrive last year. 450,000 people can see it if it's online. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a good point. It's infinite as far as reach. Yeah. And so seeing friends of mine and the type of money they're making, I'm not here to just be like, I'm like what would you call me, Santa Claus that just wants to give people free information. Seeing the monetary compensation is attractive, but even more importantly is seeing that I have a bigger reach than just hosting a live event, that I can teach people, which I know that you agree with, and probably a lot of the people watching this. There's no limitation on who I could teach people in Australia. I could teach people in Africa online. They have to come to me at Thrive. So anyway, that was the big turning point for me.
Yeah, I that's awesome. I love getting those kind of emails. That's great that you get that kind of feedback from the event. Because I know even personally, my first course was how to take the LSAT and get into law school. And so I started with 20, 30 people in a live classroom and getting those kind of responses and emails and follow-ups months later from people. And then once I put it online, it was just thousands of people, right? Instead of the dozens that I was reaching before that. So it was pretty amazing. It was still limited, the reach. I think I could only hit 10,000 people a year, but still I went from hitting a few dozen to 10,000 in a year, which was pretty amazing kind of feedback to get that.
What other person that teaches people to pass the LSAT gets to train 10,000 people a year, right? Or even what person in the world has, other than Tony Robbins probably, has 10,000 people show up live to hear their content? I think probably Tony's the only one in the world. So that's it. You went from a couple dozen to 10,000 people. That's fantastic. Yeah.
And definitely when you can help people that way, it's pretty amazing. Plus, the other thing from a sort of charitable and even purpose cause is what I found once I got it online is there was so much more opportunity to reach out to people who didn't have the financial resources to travel or to even take a course in person, where we actually have real costs to put them in the building. And so I ended up being able to give it away at discounts or free or charitable causes in a lot of different scenarios and help people who were in need of financial assistance, but then wanting to actually go to law school or something like that. So it opened up a whole bunch more that way. So you mentioned the purpose side. Is there stuff that you do I'd love to hear more about what you do on the purpose side in terms of making it matter.
Yeah, so there's two thoughts to this. Some people, and I can agree with this narrative, they say you shouldn't display publicly how you're giving back, and I completely agree. But at the other side, there's those that say, it's inspirational and it's leading life by example. So here's the way that I personally do that, because some people just morally don't feel good about being showy, about being charitable. Other people have religious context around that. Again, growing up in the church, the Bible says, give with your right hand without the left hand knowing. And if you're just being generous to impress people, then it doesn't really matter, right? You're just patting yourself on the back. And so here's the way I live my life. My businesses openly and publicly are a for-purpose business to give back in numerous different ways. And we could talk about that. But then I personally with my own income. Privately, my wife and I give back. And so let's just go to the religious aspect, right? Because they're probably the most aggressively that say, I don't want to do that. When you look at anyone's church, the pastor on stage isn't going to talk about what he or she is doing with their own money. Like, hey, everybody, I'm the pastor, and guess what I did? I personally went out there and did this with my own money. But the church as an organization is very public about sending missionaries to other countries and, things like that. So the model of the church is the church itself openly is generous, changing the world. And the pastor, the deacons, the staff of the church can very privately give in their own way. And so I say, let's just apply that to businesses. Toms, they give one pair of shoes away for every pair they sell. What Blake Mikowski does with this $300 million is his business to keep private, right? And so, and I'm sure he's a philanthropist. I don't know, but I'm sure he doesn't just spend it all on himself. So what my wife and I do with my own personal money that I earn for me and my family, we keep private. There's things that aren't known about me. I have my own orphanage in Mexico. So there's stuff that's very public, but the little things we do or the big things are very private. But as far as my businesses and Thrive specifically, let's go there. I mentioned earlier Adam Braun. He's the founder of a nonprofit called Pencils of Promise. And Thrive, although a lot of people use events to make money, rightfully so, Tony Robbins and all of them, I don't make any money off of Thrive, right? Whether it be sponsorship revenue, ticket sale revenue, or whatever, we benefit a nonprofit. So I put up about $500,000 of my own dollars to throw an event of the size and caliber of Thrive. I, of course, get my money back. And then the rest goes to benefiting Pencils of Promise. So at Thrive, this isn't that we're just preaching, oh, you should be generous and give back, but I'm going to make $1 million off of teaching you that. Literally, I take all the financial risk to not have any financial rewards. The reason I selfishly do Thrive is because I get to make relationships with people like you. Why else would I be able to get on calls like this and meet the influencers around the world, right? So it grows my network exponentially. But financially, there's no benefit of Thrive to me at all. So Thrive is a for-purpose event because Pencils of Promise, which real briefly on them, they build schools for children without education in third world countries like Laos and Guatemala and some others. And so our goal is to build dozens of schools out of Thrive from money we raise there and just exposure, because the people that show up to Thrive, hear about Pencils of Promise, fall in love with it, and go off to fund their own schools their own way. And so that's my belief system around it. And that's the way that Thrive gives back specifically is to Pencils of Promise. And so anyone who wants to have that association of what we call at Thrive, making money matter, it's on our bracelets, is, you don't have to feel conflicted that you're being generous just to show off. Keep your own personal generosity private. Don't tell people that you bought the homeless person food as you were walking into the restaurant, right? You asked them what they wanted and got food to go and gave it to them on your car. You don't need to tweet that or snap that and look at me. I'm taking a selfie with the homeless guy like, oh, hashtag I'm so great. But to very publicly demonstrate with our businesses that they're not just about profit, they're about purpose, I think is an exemplary way to run business. And I think it's a great way to inspire others to do it. Not having any moral conflict of just being built into the brand, the thesis, or the core values, as we talked about earlier, of what the business does.
Yeah. And I love that, the concept of being quiet personally about what you're doing. I was even taught that growing up. I've heard it called quiet glory, of kind of doing good, but yeah, you're right. Not going and preaching about it. I think a good point to that is you start doing that, you end up doing it for maybe some of the wrong reasons.
Oh, it's a gimmick. Yeah, it's a gimmick to gain attention or to gain sympathy or to whatever. So, and I'm not here to tell people. But no,
you're right. It definitely, it's not like I've never shared with people some of the nice things that I've done. So I can't say that I've never talked about that stuff. I love the fact that you're working with Pencils of Promise too. That's one of the big things that attracted me to Thrive is that, and the building of schools and the education side of things. That's it's a pretty awesome cause, definitely.
Yeah, I was in their office 4 days ago. I went to New York to meet Luis Ortiz, who's one of our speakers this year at Thrive. We hung out for a while, and then I went straight from his office to the POP office. It's based in Manhattan, and got to see everything they're doing. And it's really cool because there are some shady nonprofits out there. It's really cool to find one that does what it says it does. They generate their own profits internally through their POP Gala and their ring of supporters that funds all their salaries. So literally all their donations really do go to their cause. And so that's rare that a nonprofit becomes financially self-sustaining through, again, a ring of donors that support it, as well as throwing their annual gala, which is $1,000 a ticket just to get in, like $25,000 a table. And they get big sponsors to do that to cover their own salaries, so that when you, an outsider, just give them $1, it actually $1 goes towards education. So anyway, there's a little plug for them, but yeah, I'm excited to support them as well.
Excellent. Great. Well, I'd want to be respectful of your time. And so anything else you want to add? I'm looking forward to, for the people who are interested, and we've talked a lot about Thrive, and I do think it's a great opportunity for people who are looking to learn more about business, learn tactics and specific actionable items like you talked about in terms of growing your businesses. That's at attendthrive.com. Anything else we should share with people?
Well, just since you are one of the sponsors, the premier sponsor at Thrive, people can get 20% off their tickets. So anyone watching this, it's like, all right, I want to go. They can enter that promo code at checkout for 20% off tickets across the board. So I would say that as far as Thrive, as far as what we've been talking about, we talked a bit about purpose and using business with purpose. I would just tell people not to rush into anything. A lot of people start businesses maybe out of desperation of where they're at financially, or maybe out of desperation of just the emotion, like they don't want to be working a job anymore. And I would tell people, if you can afford to do so, just take an extra minute. This doesn't mean a year. This isn't an excuse to procrastinate. Take an extra minute, whatever that looks like. Maybe a weekend camping to go hiking trails and be away from everything in nature, wherever you resonate. For me, it's the ocean, water sports, right? Go take a surf trip down to Baja, surf 9 hours a day until you can't lift your arms up anymore. So you're not with cell phones, you're not in technology, you're out in the waves. Whatever it is for you, do that and really think about who you want to be within business and what you want to leave in the world. Because when you and I die, Greg, no one's going to stand around our grave and say, oh my gosh, Thinkific was so good. He employed so many people. And oh man, Cole's real estate business sure fixed a lot of houses. No one's going to care about our companies. They're going to talk about the difference that you and I made, and everyone watching this, with the time we had and the resources we had. And so I would encourage people to, before they just rush in out of, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my house, I got to start a business tomorrow, take some time to figure out what your core beliefs are, your absolute truths are, and who you want to be in the business world, so that you don't end up in a position where you're not just not happy in your business, but you're not happy because you're not living within your purpose. And I think that being financially free, if you ask anyone out there if they never had to worry about money anymore, if they think they could be living within greater purpose, I think they'd all say yes. And so that would be my last closing thoughts is, hey, don't rush into this. Or if you have a business that you're not stoked on, like me, I quit my company. I left for 10 months to rethink things, came back and started it again. Spend some time thinking it through, create those core beliefs and stay in it. And even if it's firing clients that are paying you money but suck, or whatever that looks like, if you're within your core values, you'll not just be happier, you'll be more purposeful, and you'll live a more meaningful life.
That's great advice. I appreciate that. Thanks. And definitely thanks for being generous with the discount there. So what should we do? Why don't we just do Thinkific as the code?
Okay.
Does that work?
Cool. Yeah. So anyone checking out attendthrive.com, Thinkific, one word. It's not case sensitive on your checkout. It'll take 20% off whatever ticket you're looking at.
Excellent. Great. Thank you, Cole. I'm looking forward to catching up actually in person in San Diego in October, and hopefully some of you watching will join us as well.
Yeah, it'll be great. Looking forward to meeting you in person finally.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.